Time now for the Educated Retirement Show with your host, Jay Kaplan. Jay discusses reverse mortgages and can answer your questions at 951-922-3532. Call lines are open at 951-922-3532. And now here's Jay.
There goes that old pigeon head neck of mine when that music pops up. Oh, think I have one hair out of place. Let me fix that. Anyway, welcome back to the Educated Retirement Show here on KMET. This is the place where Dr. Demento and Jay Kaplan got their starts on radio. Actually, I was on another station before this, but we won't talk about that one. This one is so much more fun, and this one has Sean, and I got lucky in that. I think, Sean, there is another engineer, correct, for different parts of the day?
Yes.
Yeah, but I got lucky. I got Sean, so that's that. So we are gonna get back into our nostalgia mode, and we were talking about Philip Seymour Hoffman. That's it, Hoffman. And we're going to continue with that, in spite of my memory. So, following a string of roles in successful films in the late 1990s, Hoffman had established a reputation as a top supporting player who could be relied on to make an impression. He was recognized as a great theater actor as well, starring in 10 stage productions, and he directed 19 stage productions. I'm not sure where they were, off Broadway probably here in California, but still, he was very active no matter how much money he made and how much, he was assured of another movie role. He stayed active in that. So Philip starred in over 50 films and was nominated for 4 Academy Awards and won an Oscar for Best Actor in Capote. Here's a short list of his films. Twister. And I'm sure we remember Twister. Well, I remember some of the special effects, especially that tanker truck that came through that. Anyway.
And the cows that were flying.
The flying cows, and I think we watched it over and over until I got tired of it for a while. 1996, directed by Jean Debont, starring Bill Paxton, who unfortunately passed away because of a mistake, I think. Anyway, Helen Hunt, and the film was nominated for 2 Academy Awards. Boogie Nights, and I've got that on Laserdisc. Paul Thomas Anderson, the son of not Svengoolie, but the other one. By the way, Svengoolie. Ghoulardi. Svengoolie tomorrow night will have The Black Cat, which is a real classic. So you better watch that. Paul Thomas Anderson, anyway. And it co-starred Mark Wahlberg. Marky Mark, for those old enough to remember Marky Mark, who is Mark Wahlberg. Julianne Moore, and the film was nominated for 3 Academy Awards. The Talented Mr. Ripley, 1999, directed by Anthony Maglia, co-starred Matt Damon, Jude Law, Gwyneth Paltrow, and the film was nominated for 5 Academy Awards. Now, all of these films he's in seems to be nominated for an Academy Award. I think a great deal of that has to do with his presence in those films, because it reminded people of those. And we've shown this film a few times lately. Magnolia, another one, Paul Thomas Anderson, co-starring Tom Cruise. We talked about it with Tom Cruise the other week. Julianne Moore, Jason Robards Jr. He's always been one of my favorite actors. What a great guy. And this was nominated for 3 Academy Awards. The Big Lebowski was the Coen brothers. and of course, I love the Coen brothers. And this is, of course, a cult classic now. Jeff Bridges, John Goodman, and John Turturro. And I don't know how much of the Coen brothers you're into, but I remember one of my favorites is still, what's the name of that? The one with the guy, where you watch the paint peel off the wall, or the wallpaper. Jason Barton Fink.
Oh, Barton Fink.
Where John Goodman plays a serial killer. Great film. Also, 10 Paradox Lane. Great job he did. And also, Cloverfield. That's a Clover. I was thinking of the Cloverfield Paradox, which was the last in the series, which wasn't as good. But 10 Cloverfield Lane, where he also was just a real weirdo. What a great anyway, Hoffman was also in a film called Flawless, 1999, directed by Joel Schumacher, co-starring Robert De Niro. There you go. I don't know if you can see the backs of these much, but I'll show it to you anyway. Almost Famous, directed by Cameron Crowe. And I know Cameron Crowe is very popular. Not my favorite guy, really. But his films are definitely memorable. And, of course, you can hardly see anything on this. Does this have something a little better? Not particular. Well, yeah, maybe. Let me give a quick look, because we got a lot to go through. And does this open up? Yeah, it do open up. There's that. There's a little booklet in there. And anyway, that was also co-starred Kate Hudson. We'll change the M to an N there. Frances McDormand, who is, well, it's a whole nother story with the Coen brothers. In fact, she's the wife of one of the Coen brothers. And I think perhaps even right now on Turner Classic Movies, Blood Simple is showing, or it was, and boy, I love that film. That was a much earlier film with Francis and done by the Coen brothers. Capote was 2005, directed by Bennett Miller, nominated for 5 Academy Awards and won 1 for Best Actor for Philip Seymour Hoffman. Charlie Wilson's War, I really liked. I don't have a copy of it here. I really thought that was very entertaining. Directed by Mike Nichols, co-starring Tom Hanks, Julia Roberts, Amy Adams. Film nominated for 1 Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. Guess who? Philip Seymour Hoffman. And The Master, another Paul Thomas Anderson. Boy, Paul Thomas Anderson must have been hit hard when Hoffman died. The Master is, well, that could have a whole show unto itself. Joaquin Phoenix was amazing in that film. Amy Adams, nominated for 3 Academy Awards, and had a lot to do with Scientology and L. Ron Hubbard. But not, it was about, it really got into the personality. And that's why it was such a good film. And Hoffman's favorite television show was Breaking Bad, while his favorite film was Goodfellas. Guy's got good taste. His performance in 3 Broadway plays, True West, Long Day's Journey into Night, and Death of a Salesman, led to Tony Award nominations. Philip struggled with drug addiction as a young adult and died in 2014 of combining drug intoxication. Unfortunately, that was bad for not only Paul Thomas Anderson, but for you and me too, or anybody that loves film. Because anyway, I don't need to get into that. This is not his memorial service, but I really do miss him. Anyway, Raymond Chandler, another great fella, Los Angeles fella. He was born on this day in 1888 and left us in 1959. Born Raymond Thornton Chandler, was an American British novelist and screenwriter. He is a founder of the hard-boiled school of detective fiction, along with Dashiell Hammett. Dashiell Hammett, I believe, was more the San Francisco guy, right? And we have here the LA guy. And this picture is a little small, isn't it? Is this? But we'll try. We'll get it up close to the camera, and then 10 seconds later, I'll see if it worked, and if not, I'll show it to you again so that maybe it does work. Well, here's a bigger picture. Very studious here, in that he's got his pipe, and I'm just looking at the monitor now. I didn't do very good on that first picture, did I? No, I didn't, but let me have it again. I'll give it another try. But at least you got that one. All right, so at least we can give it a try. Not that it's necessary. The other picture is a good one. So, Raymond was born in Chicago to an alcoholic civil engineer who worked for the railway and who eventually abandoned his family. His mother, boy, all these people we seem to have are part of broken families where the old man took off. So his mother moved to Ireland, and his uncle, a successful lawyer, reluctantly supported them while they lived with his maternal grandmother. Chandler later became a reporter for the Westminster Gazette and was successful as a journalist, but published reviews and continued writing poetry. I didn't know he wrote poetry. He borrowed money from his uncle to return to America, where he took a correspondence. No, Kathleen, just throw that out. No, I got more here. Where he took a correspondence course in bookkeeping. Excuse me while I talk to the director of the show about my coffee supply. Later, he and his mother moved to Los Angeles in 1913, where he strung tennis rackets and picked fruit and found employment with the Los Angeles Creamery. He traveled to Vancouver and enlisted in the Canadian Expeditionary Force, saw combat in trenches in France, and was hospitalized twice with the Spanish flu. Wow. He later returned to Los Angeles and taught himself to write pulp fiction and to imitate Earl Stanley Gardner, who we talked about last week, Perry Mason. Chandler's first big novel was The Big Sleep, published in 1939, featuring Philip Marlowe. That was his detective, was Philip Marlowe. And it was published in 1939, featuring Philip Marlowe, the detective. His second Marlowe novel, Farewell, My Lovely, became the basis for 3 movie versions, including the film 1944 Murder My Sweet. No, Murder My Sweet. That's all right. We'll show them later. Don't worry about it. Chandler became... Now, Murder My Sweet was actually... wasn't the actual name, as we already gave the name. But because it starred Dick Powell, they didn't want the audience to think it was another song and dance movie, so they changed the name to Murder My Sweet. Chandler became in demand as a screenwriter. He and Billy Wilder co-wrote Double Indemnity, which starred Barbara Stanwyck, and we showed the last week or the week before, Fred McMurray, and was nominated for an Academy Award. His only produced original screenplay was The Blue Dahlia, which we happened to watch about 2 weeks ago. He collaborated on the screenplay of Alfred Hitchcock's Stranger on a Train. In 1946, he moved to La Jolla, poor guy, and wrote 2 more Philip Marlowe novels, one of which was The Long Goodbye. And here's some Raymond Chandler quotes. We'll get to those when we go over the films. So here's some quotes from Raymond Chandler. He looked about as inconspicuous as a tarantula on a slice of angel food cake. Oh, that is good. Let me repeat that again. He looked about as inconspicuous as a tarantula on a slice of angel food cake. The streets were dark with something more than night. Ooh, that is poetic. I was as hollow and empty as the spaces between stars, and that's from The Long Goodbye. But now we understand that dark energy and all kinds, there ain't no space between stars. So it seems like a nice neighborhood to have bad habits in. That's from The Big Sleep. I wonder if they were talking about Irvine. Anyway, films adapted from Raymond Chandler stories are 1946, The Big Sleep, and this goes back to the first, the how we had them. There you go. And very good film, you know, from Raymond Chandler, and also screenplay by William Faulkner, and that good stuff.
And this with
Oh, okay.
Robert Mitchum.
Well, there was another one that also had Humphrey Bogart, Lauren Bacall. The Long Goodbye is directed by Robert Altman. I don't have that here, but I think you all know what I think of Robert Altman, what a genius and great person he was, and that starred Elliot Gould. Double Indemnity, a 1944, directed by Billy Wilder, starring Fred MacMurray and Barbara Stanwyck. Usually considered one of the great noirs. Farewell, My Lovely. Now, that was the original name, and that was the original name of Murder, My Sweet. And let me just show you again. This is Murder, My Sweet. Okay. And back to the original name. Here's another Murder, My Sweet.
That's the radio.
Oh, this is a radio.
Yeah.
What? Can we play this when we're done? No, we can't. I don't have an amplifier that's working. I love these radio stories, and now that my amplifier's not working, I do listen to them, lay down, relax, and listen to them on YouTube and things like that, and it's great stuff. But Farewell, My Lovely with Robert Mitchum.
Oh, this is The Big Sleep.
Okay, well, you know, they redid a couple of these. One of that with Robert Mitchum, who is also absolutely wonderful. And the other one was The Big Sleep. They did this Big Sleep again. Worth doing with Robert Mitchum? Yes. Farewell, My Lovely with Robert Mitchum? Yeah, worth doing. And I got to show you this every single time because I can't get over. Here's Robert Mitchum singing Calypso. We'll have to check on copyright laws, and maybe Sean can play some of that for us next time. This is, to me, it's absolutely terrible, but I love it. You know what I mean. So, Murder, My Sweet was actually 1944, directed by Edward Dmytryk, you know, Dick Powell, Claire Trevor, etc. Lady in the Lake, directed. That was another film that was made from his writing. This was a little weird because I think it was point of view experiment where the camera was like the eyes of the detective. Couple of films where there was a Bogart film that was like that for just the first part until he got plastic surgery. I forgot the name of it. That one worked. This one I do not think did. Blue Dahlia, which we do have a copy of, but I don't have it handy. Directed by George Marshall, starred Alan Ladd and William Bendix. Now, William Bendix is another one. Life of Riley to some very dramatic parts backwards. Alan Ladd, who was so short he had to have elevator shoes, but he was good. Strangers on a Train, one of my all-time, I mean, this is incredibly good, and I think you know that it's incredibly good. It's a Hitchcock film, and it is not. It's not like what's the other one? The Lady Vanishes, where almost all the action is stuck inside of a train, which gives you that kind of claustrophobia. But this is so cool. Anyway, that's an Alfred Hitchcock. Farley Granger, Robert Walker, and just a short reminder that you are listening to the Educated Retirement Radio here on your home planet. 1490 KMET AM radio, the Mighty Met, with the mighty Sean as our engineer, who we thank over and over. remember, drheckham.com, www.drhecm.com. Call me right now or whenever. It's actually the off-air phone number, but anytime will do, 866-955-2233. If you don't like reverse mortgages for whatever reason, you've been told those are the people I especially want to talk to, because I want to learn from you also. 866-955-2233. And at the bottom of the hour here, I don't think we need to take a break, so we will continue with Woody Harrelson, who was born on this date in 1961. Boy, you know, for somebody that was born in the 40s, that sure sounds awfully young. But his real name was, excuse me while I have a sip. No, my Berkeley cup, Pete's Coffee. Woodrow Tracy Harrelson, an American actor and playwright. I didn't know he was a playwright. He was born in Woodland, Texas, to his mother, who was a secretary, and father, a convicted hitman who received a life sentence for the killing of a federal judge. Now, that part I did know. And I really like Woody Harrelson. Everything he's in, I enjoy, period. And, you know, I guess I think of him more as a character actor, but he is more than that. Excuse me a moment. Harrelson's family was poor and relied on his mother's wages. The family moved to Ohio, where he graduated from high school and worked at an amusement park. During the summer, he received a BFA in theater and English in college, and Woody starred, I don't know how he got the name Woody, but it's fine. Started his career in TV sitcoms such as Cheers, Frasier, Will and Grace, and that was during an era that I almost never watched television, but so be it. I do more now. I think there's some more good things, but you know, that's another subject for another show. His first feature film was a football comedy, Wildcats, which I never saw, in 1986 with Goldie Hawn. Over the years, Harrelson made 84 films, and he's still young enough to do another 100, and was nominated for 3 Oscars and for 9 Primetime Emmys, and won 1 Primetime Emmy for Cheers. Did you know Woody was arrested a few times for disorderly conduct in Ohio and dancing in the middle of the street. Also in London on a police chase after an incident in a taxi, clashed with a photographer outside a club in Hollywood, grabbing his camera, and in Kentucky for planting hemp seeds, challenging the states regarding marijuana laws. Did you know I was arrested 3 times? My wife is going to shake her head because she's heard this story so many times. But did I go to jail? Yes, once in Spain, once in Tijuana, and once in Los Angeles. And those are kind of funny stories, but another time. But I just want to let you know, I've got something in common with Woody Harrelson. Once he traveled to the West Coast on a bike along a caravan with a hemp oil-fueled biodiesel bus for a documentary film. And in case you didn't know, he also briefly owned an oxygen bar in Hollywood. Didn't know that. Woody is a fan of chess and attended the first game of the World Chess Championship in London in 2018 and played the ceremonial first movie for the previous championship in New York. He also practices Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, having received the first stripe on his white belt. The only thing my belt has been doing is been taken in more and more. Let's see some pictures of Woody. I think you already know what Woody looks like, but this is younger, so I think this is kind of cool. And I think you can see that. And it looks like him, but it looks a little bit different too. He looks a little rougher these days, which I think. And here actually, this is more of the look he has these days, although you can tell he's much younger. And why do we grow older? Well, I'll ask Woody that later. Right now, I don't think that's part of the show. But there he is. And he was awarded an honorary doctor of human letters from Hanover College in 2014. Here's a short list of films. And one is Natural Born Killers. I haven't seen this in a long time. And of course, that is directed by what's his name? Oliver Stone. And there you go. And that's a good picture of him too. There he is. That was 1994, directed by Oliver Stone, co-star Juliette Lewis. Whatever happened to her? We're going to have to check on that. Robert Downey Jr., we know what happened to him, and Tommy Lee Jones. Story by Quentin Tarantino. Boy, that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Here is a movie by the Farrelly brothers, and let me tell you, the Farrelly brothers have never been high on my list for comedies. I know they're very, very popular, but this film I love. Kingpin, 1996. I mean, this is amazingly funny, I think. And 2 thumbs up, of course. Also, Randy Quaid and Vanessa Angel. Don't know whatever happened to her, but at least she was
Bill
in.
Murray.
What?
Bill Murray.
Oh, and Bill Murray, whose name wasn't on the front here, but Bill Murray was great. And those scenes where Woody tries to do some bowling, and he has a fake hand, and the hand connects with the ball as it goes down the alley. I mean, you can't duplicate that. Thin Red Line, directed by what I consider probably the #1 director alive today, who doesn't do much, and that's nothing away from Spielberg and other great directors, but Terrence Malick. And it co-starred Sean Penn, Nick Nolte. Film had 7 Academy Award nominations. And A Scanner Darkly, directed by Richard Linklater, based on the novel by my favorite science fiction writer, Philip K. Dick, and co-starred Keanu Reeves and Robert Downey Jr. Now, I don't have the movie here. Now, for a while, and I like graphic novels. This was not written as a graphic novel, but this is a graphic novel based on that, and it's really cool. And you can see there. And we're running out of time again, but anyway, I highly recommend, of course, anything written by Philip K. Dick, who did Blade Runner and so many others. Anyway, No Country for Old Men, which because you knew Woody Harrelson, he was going to win that scene, and he didn't. Coen Brothers, co-starring Tommy Lee Jones, Josh Brolin. Film had 8 Academy Award nominations and won 4 of them, including Best Picture. Amazing, a great film. Some people I talked to didn't really get the fact about No Country for Old Men, but about the changes. And I'm not sure there were that many changes, just the tools that were used, but still a great film. Zombieland. I don't have it. We should have it.
I know.
Now, Zombieland, my son made us go to with him, and I was not looking forward to it, but I loved it. And speaking of, what's his name from the bowling movie?
Bill Murray.
Bill
I think
Murray
he said that too.
was in it as Bill Murray. And wow, what fun that movie is. It was directed by Ruben Fleischer, and I wonder, is that the son, grandson, or whatever of Richard Fleischer, who is the son of Disney's number one competitor in the cartoon business? Fleischer, the old man, did those amazingly wonderful Superman cartoons, and then his son actually directed 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. The name is the same, it's spelled the same, but who knows? 2012, another great performance, and that was.
We have it.
And we have it somewhere. I don't know where it is, but come on over and help me find these things, please. Anybody, give me a call at that number. As you can see here, the number, if you're watching on video, the number is covered up by the microphone, but usually I'm going to move it, but I don't think you can see it anyway. But there's the number, and you do have it. Let me see. I'm getting just 2012 was a lot of fun. And well, there you can kind of basically see the number. It doesn't matter. I'm going to bring this closer. Remember when everybody thought that was going to be the end of the world, 2012? Well, you know what? It wasn't. And it co-starred John Cusack, Danny Glover, and what's her name? Who? Amanda Pete, or whatever, Pete Moss. And Danny Glover, we met at the Little Easy, and my wife had a picture taken with him downtown Los Angeles a couple of years ago. I hope the Little Easy is still open. They had great chicken and waffles and music. War of the Planet of the Apes 2017 was one of the best of the Planet of the Apes series, directed by Matt Reeves. Also starred Andy Serkis, who, my God, you obviously know from Lord of the Rings and all those other great things. Gollum.
And King Kong.
And King Kong, of course. We've got that, I'd like to watch that. We've got that box set of The Diary of Making King Kong.
Yeah.
And anyway, Daniel Radcliffe was just a kid, was also born today on July 23rd, 1989. What's this?
That's another movie.
High-Low Country. Woody Harrelson was in this. I've got the DVD, and I don't remember ever seeing it. Do you?
No.
I'm asking our director. Well, you know what? One of the best films of the year. Okay. I'll take it for granted, and maybe we'll take a look at that. But I have things I've never listened to or watched, so there you go. So Daniel is an English actor, best known for his role of Harry Potter in the film series. And Daniel was born in London to a very working class family. He was interested in acting at age 5, and at the age of 10, he made his debut, really, in a BBC TV adaptation of David Copperfield in 1999. These are kind of small and dark pictures. Maybe it'll work. Let me put some light on the subject, and hopefully you can see that. That's looking much younger. It looks like he was taking the part in David Copperfield. And here is the crew, as it were. The crew and look how young they were. And they ain't young no more. And again, I asked the question why we grow old, but so be it. So Sorry about that. And made his film debut in The Tailor of Panama. Wow, we've got that movie. He was asked to audition for the role of Harry Potter as director Chris Columbus saw the video of him and David Copperfield. He said, "This is what I want. This is Harry Potter." Daniel's parents originally turned the offer down because they had been told it would involve 6 films to be shot in Los Angeles. Instead, the studio offered Radcliffe a 2-film contract with shooting in the United Kingdom as a start. Here's a short list of films, and of course, I don't need to show you all of them. We all know the Harry Potter films. What do we have here? Sorcerer's Stone. That would have been number 1, correct? Number 1, Chamber of Secrets or whatever, number 2, and it goes on. Christopher Columbus directed the first 2. He's known for making films a little bit too long. And that could be, but the first couple we got to know these people, and I thought he did a great job. The third one was Alfonso Cuarón, who did such amazing films as Gravity, and the one that had even more gravity. Did he not do Children of Men, which is one of the best films of all time? Harry Potter films starred with Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. He was also in another film, The Woman in Black, in 2012, directed by James Watkins. Horns, 2013, directed by Alexandre Aja, AJA. Kill Your Darlings, 2013, directed by John Krokidas, Krokidas. Sorry if I am butchering these names. At least I'll spell them for you. Daniel played young Allen Ginsberg. Pinocchio, which is upcoming 2022 or later, directed by Guillermo del Toro, who is one of our favorites, and on about him. He is a whole show we could do ourselves. And he is nostalgia, but he has a huge future also. So that's a stop motion animated musical Wow, stop motion. So take it. I mean, Guillermo del Toro is probably one of the few people that could pull that off and actually sell that to a studio. Stop motion, and it's gonna also star Ewan McGregor, Ron Perlman. That's great. Speaking of Ron Perlman, if you haven't seen The Village of Lost Children, you better do that. John Turturro, one of the greats that's in weird films, and Tom Waits, who is one of my favorite singers, along with actor Tilda Swinton and Kate Blanchett. This will be Guillermo's first animated film and is based on the original designs of the 1883 Italian novel. And I think we went over some of the original things of the Italian novel that are so different than what we know from the Disney character, but so be it. And also, remember, you're listening to the Educated Retirement Show here on KMET AM Radio, the Mighty Met. And on this day, I think we better make time for NASA Nellie, because I think she's in orbit and she's coming back around. So there's no pictures to show, right? No. Okay. Anyway, here comes NASA Nellie, and she's going to tell us about a few things that we need to know.
You need to know about the Childs Whited UFO encounter. On July 24th, 1948, only 1 year after the Roswell UFO incident in the skies near Montgomery, Alabama, 2 commercial pilots, Clarence Childs and John Whited, claimed to have observed a glowing object pass their plane before it appeared to pull into a cloud and travel out of sight. It was a clear night at about 2:45 a.m. when the pilots were flying a passenger plane near Montgomery, Alabama. The aircraft had 20 passengers on board. It was a routine flight until suddenly it wasn't. They saw a dull red glow above which closed in on their plane in a matter of seconds. It viewed past the side of them at high speed before it pulled up with a tremendous burst of flames in the back end of the craft and suddenly zoomed into the clouds in about 10 seconds. The pilot stated that the object looked like a wingless craft, torpedo or cigar shaped, and seemed to have 2 rows of very large square windows through which glowed a very bright light as brilliant as a magnesium flare. Underneath the ship was a blue glow of light. Neither pilot had heard any sound, and later reported shows that their plane was hit by turbulence from the object. Only one of the plane's passengers saw anything unusual. He reported a bright streak of light that flashed by his window. The president of Boeing Aircraft told the United Press that he was pretty sure it was not one of our planes and knew of nothing being built in the U.S. that matched that description. They reported it to the United States Air Force and were interviewed by personnel from Project Sign, which was the first Air Force research group assigned to investigate UFO sightings. The findings were included in what they called an estimate of situation, which was a thick document with a black cover stamped across the front with the words top secret. Edward Ruppelt, head of the study, claimed the estimate was that they were interplanetary. The investigators took this incident very seriously because both men were highly regarded pilots who served during World War II. Months later, this estimate was dismissed, declassified, and tossed away. With all that secrecy, astronomers and UFO skeptics said that the Earth was encountering meteor activity at that time and felt what the pilots saw was a fireball-type meteor, and the so-called rows of lights on the craft was just an illusion. So professional pilots would not know the difference between a craft or a meteor if they saw it. What do you think?
Me, I'm playing with my toys here. And I think it's another fascinating story from NASA. Nellie. Now, NASA, are you taking off again?
Yep.
Because that gives us closure, you understand, for NASA Nellie. On this day, Plan 9 from Outer Space was released on July, it was actually the 22nd, 1959. And I mean, I'm sure you must have seen this. What is this? What is this?
Soundtrack.
The soundtrack. My God, I didn't even know they had music to it. But yeah, and there's Vampira and what's his name? Thor was a professional wrestler, supposed to be a great guy, and this is so bad that people still love it. They call it one of the worst, if not the worst movie of all time. And it could be. Tor Johnson, that's his name. Vampira, which, you know, we showed some things about her and how great looking she really was, but Mila Nurmi, Mailanurmi. The Amazing Criswell was in there also, and remember him. This film is celebrated as the worst movie ever made. It's the worst movie that people love to watch. Critics love to mock everything from the film's comical dialogue. Stupid, right? That comes from the movie. And special effects, yet these same things are what endears the film to its fans. And I don't know whether you ever saw the movie Ed Wood, but just to me, this was a great film by Tim Burton. And won an Academy Award, actually, for, what's his name? Remember Martin Landau playing Bela Lugosi. Just amazing. I've got some sound effects, but I don't do sound effects, but maybe I should. Anyway, it was Lugosi's last film. Actually, it was just taken. Lugosi's part was just taken from some home movies. A chiropractor played Lugosi's double. Those flying in the real movie, not in the Ed Wood movie. Those flying saucers were store-bought toys on strings. Vampira would put on her vampire makeup and costume at home, and then take the bus to the soundstage. Lugosi used old Dracula costume. The screenplay was written in less than 2 weeks. I was going to say 2 hours. And one of the locations used for the footage was the home of Tor Johnson. Criswell wrote all the film's narration himself. This was also his debut film. I do remember Criswell. The film Ed Wood starred Johnny Depp, which we just talked about, 1994, directed by Tim Burton. And this was Ed's struggles with the film industry, including the creation of Plan 9 from Outer Space. Martin Landau starred in the role of Bela Lugosi and the movie won 2 Academy Awards, Best Actor, Martin Landau, and Best Makeup, Rick Baker, also a very popular name. Today, Strangers on a Train was released in 1951, and we already showed that. Alfred Hitchcock, screenplay co-written by Raymond Chandler and starred Farley Granger, Robert Walker, got another great one, and he, I believe, killed himself. Anyway, Ruth Roman. The film was nominated for Best Cinematography Oscar. Several writers turned down the chance to write the screenplay, such as Thornton Wilder, John Steinbeck, and Dashiell Hammett. Grace Kelly was Hitchcock's first choice for the female role, but Ruth Roman, that's Ruth Roman's part, regarding the carousel scene, an actual carousel operator, not a professional stuntman, volunteered to be the one to crawl under it to stop the film spinning out of control. Not only stop the film from spinning out of control, but the carousel, which is what I was supposed to say. It conquered the, let me, one more time. And then, this is so good. I gotta have time to show these pictures. Okay, It Conquered the World was released close to this time, 1956, directed by Roger Corman, who we both know, me and the bathroom, and I stood next to him anyway, starred Peter Graves, Beverly Garland, Lee Van Cleef. This film was inspired by the success of the day the world ended, and boy, we talked about this, and I'll tell you, to me, this one is the worst film ever made. Not Plan 9, but we talked about that in some detail before, so I won't go into too much of it now. God, that was horrible, but so be it. Anyway, It Conquered the World was directed by Roger Corman. It had some great actors in it. Inspired by that horrible movie, also directed by Corman. The creature was mounted on wheels, and the actor had to crouch inside the costume to enable the movie to move the creature. Originally, it was supposed to be a dark cave, but Roger Corman, more effective, the creature would make an appearance outside its hiding place. Wow, what a creature. You got to see this. Sean, is this better looking than me or not? I don't know. But that is the creature. Oh yeah, my God, that's wonderful, ain't it? Now we're going to be cut short here on what happened this day, because there are some pretty good things about Apollo 11, and we're just going to stick those on to next week's show. Because I think they're important enough to talk about. So hang on, keep your radio tuned in, dialed in to us, and we'll be back next week to talk about that. But the creature's working pinchers were broken on the first day of shooting. When Beverly Garland saw the creature, she laughed and said, I could bop that monster over the head with my handbag. It's not a monster, it's a table ornament. God, I wish we had a little model of that. That is one of the worst. The film was released as a double bill with The She Creature. The film originally could only be seen by adults in the United Kingdom because the scene of the creature being destroyed by a blowtorch was considered animal cruelty. You believe that? You see what that creature looked like? However, the producer, Samuel Z. Arkoff, convinced the British Film Board that the violence was against an otherworldly person and not an animal, thus earning the film passing the board after all. So with that, with that, we have 1 minute, and we're going to talk about what other things that happened on this day next week, if they're important enough. And Apollo 11 was. The opening of Disneyland is another one. So I'm going to sign off by letting you know that I must confess, I was born at a very early age, and nostalgia is not what it used to be. And you'll never find rainbows if you're looking down. So 2 funny ones and one kind of, philosophical. How about living in the lap of luxury isn't bad, except that you never know when luxury is going to stand up. Well, I'm going to stand up right now and leave everybody and remind you that Jay Kaplan, will be here in front of on the same corner in front of the cigar store next week. Please take care of yourself. The virus is starting to roll again. Take care of yourself. I need every one of you. And your families and friends do too. Take care of yourself, and we'll talk to you next week. Thanks so much.
You've been listening to the Educated Retirement Show with Jay Kaplan. Tune in every Friday at 3 p.m. to learn more about your mortgage and reverse mortgages.